Around 1000 AD, the Malacca Strait was the primary choke point for trade between India and China. The Srivijaya Empire turned this passage into a mandatory checkpoint, forcing passing merchants to pay a toll, and maintained a navy to destroy any ship bypassing their ports. The tension reached a breaking point in the Chinese royal court. Srivijayan diplomats officially documented the Chola Empire as a minor, dependent state in Chinese files. This wasn't a minor slight. It destroyed the Chola's status in the world's largest market, preventing South Indian traders from selling their goods. King Rajendra Chola wanted to retaliate, but he faced a geographic wall. While he commanded a massive land army, medieval rules of engagement meant kings fought on territory they could reach. Kadaram, the heart of Srivijaya's power, sat 2,000 kilometers away across the open sea. Military supremacy is useless without the reach to apply it. To project power across the Bay of Bengal, the king had to look outside his own government for the ships and navigators he lacked. He turned to a group known as the 500. This was a borderless, decentralized corporate franchise, a network of thousands of members, from wealthy landowners to professional soldiers, all operating under a single brand. The corporation controlled immense wealth and a deep overseas intelligence network. They even employed their own private mercenary armies, known for hunting down and eliminating the families of anyone who murdered a member of the guild. The 500 wanted Srivijaya's checkpoint dismantled. If the toll booth fell, they would have direct, untaxed access to the Southeast Asian markets for camphor, spices, and precious wood. The state and the guild formed a joint venture. The king would provide 3,000 elite soldiers, while the corporation would provide the fleet, the supplies, and the navigators. This was a radical historical anomaly, a sovereign monarch officially outsourcing the logistics of a massive naval invasion to a private corporate entity to achieve a shared profit motive. Before risking his army on the open ocean, the king and the 500 needed to stress test their logistical partnership. In 1022 AD, the king launched a massive overland march toward the Ganges River. While framed as a holy mission to collect water for a new temple, it functioned as a live trial run for their new supply chain. As the infantry moved north along the coast, the 500's fleet sailed parallel to them. Every day, the ships docked to deliver hundreds of tons of food and supplies to the marching troops, proving the corporation could sustain a large army in the field. This image shows the Tanjavur Temple, a testament to the immense economic surplus generated during this era. This temple functioned as a central bank and welfare ministry, fueled by the success of these joint merchant-state ventures. The Ganges campaign confirmed that the 500 could handle the logistics of a war. With the partnership verified, the king greenlit the invasion of Srivijaya. In early 1025, 100 corporate ships carrying 3,000 Chola soldiers sailed directly into the open Bay of Bengal. They were traveling 2,000 kilometers without a map or a compass. The navigators relied entirely on a generational memory of monsoon patterns, winds, and the position of the stars. This was an all-or-nothing mission. A single navigational error would cause the entire force to vanish into the ocean, as there was no secondary fleet coming to rescue them. Notably, King Rajendra did not join the voyage. He stayed in his capital, coordinating the strategic vision while the corporation handled the execution thousands of kilometers away. After 2 weeks at sea, the ships reached the Malay Peninsula. They used this landmark, Mount Jarai, to confirm they had arrived at their target, the city of Kadaram. The attack was a total surprise. The Srivijayan king was captured in his palace before he could even mobilize his defenses, effectively decapitating the empire's leadership in a single day. Chola forces then fanned out across the region, sacking 12 port cities across Sumatra and the Malay Peninsula to systematically dismantle Srivijaya's trade monopoly. By utilizing the corporation's logistical reach, the Chola state had successfully struck a rival superpower from across an ocean. Rajendra Chola claimed the jeweled doors of Kadaram as his prize and declared himself the king of kings. Following this victory, he largely withdrew from active military expansion. This era left behind thousands of stone inscriptions like these, detailing a highly organized civic life. Villages were self-governed through a ballot system called Kudavole, allowing the central Chola state to function with minimal oversight, while the king focused on his new capital. Rajendra had achieved his revenge and historical fame, but he had effectively handed the keys to the region's trade routes to the very corporation that helped him win. While the Chola soldiers took their loot back to India, the merchants of the 500 stayed behind. The guild filled Srivijaya's vacuum, building fortified ports and claiming tax rights across Southeast Asia. Eventually, the corporation outgrew the state. Finding better deals, the 500 stopped paying taxes to the Chola treasury, redirecting their immense wealth elsewhere. Starved of the tax revenue it once relied on, the Chola dynasty slowly lost its grip. By 1279, the royal line ended, and the empire vanished from the historical record, outmaneuvered by the merchants it had once used as a tool. This 11th century partnership predates the British East India Company by 600 years. It established a warning precedent. When a state builds a mega-corporation to project its power, the corporation eventually gains the power to outlast the state.